Good afternoon, Danvers. Welcome to the Topics of the Town News for September 5th. Today is already September 5th. The winter's almost here. I shouldn't even say that. Today we have John Toomey as the co-host, and we have a special report by Jim Morose. So welcome, gentlemen. It's been a long, hot summer, but now we're getting into the cool weather. The Topics of the Town News reporting is direct, comprehensive, and our stories are in depth and represent stories that no other news media wants to report. We will always report only the truth, sometimes with our own opinion included. What our focus has always been is on issues that are happening in the town of Danvers. Nobody seems to be reporting anything inside the town. Everybody wants to talk about Salem, Peabody, Beverly, and Boston. We are focusing on Danvers. Today, we have a special report by Jim Morose, and he will be talking in regards to Elliott and Liberty traffic signals.
Okay, well, thank you, Mark. It's always a hot topic, traffic. We love our traffic, okay? This particular traffic spot is at Elliott and Liberty Street. You know, this is the smart traffic signals that they came in with the walls. So we got coming up here, Peter Kozniak, who lives on 3 Hanson Road. Peter presented a serious concern at the selectmen's meeting and concerning the intersection at Liberty and Elliott Street. So we got a clip coming up. So Peter made this presentation to the Board of Selectmen. So can we cue that up and let it fly?
Well, there we go. Okay, here we are with Peter Kozniak, and he'll give us a little explanation of what the issues are here.
I live up here on 3 Hanson Road. This is known as the Orchard area. It's Liberty Street off of Elliott Street. It's the intersection of 62 and the road that takes you down to the port if you're coming from Beverly. This used to be an access road to 128. This stretch of Liberty Street from 62 up to 128, which is now walled off. My problem is security. The security and safety of individuals that live up in this area. If you're coming from Middleton heading towards Beverly, there is no left-hand arrow. We're on a stop light waiting for the green to be able to take a left on a full green orb. Now, if you're leaving Beverly coming toward Danvers, when we're sitting there with a red light waiting, you have a green arrow allowing you to take a left-hand turn onto Liberty Street down to the port area. So we're sitting watching cars going past us in the front. Now the light, our delayed red, turns to green, and you have through traffic coming through from Beverly and nobody stopping. So we can't take a left. And if anybody's sitting behind us, because we're in the left-hand lane, we're getting horns blowing at us to move. Now, this is the major area to get in and out of the Orchard area, which has 89 homes. So my concern is safety. I'm waiting for a real problem to happen. My initial thing was to go through and find out what to do. I spoke to a few select people, and they said, go to the Traffic Advisory Committee. I sat in on the committee, and I was allowed an opportunity to address them and apprise them of the situation. They in turn were going to take it under advisement and give me a letter. What happened was I waited for 4 months, finally contacted Selectman Bennett, and he is the selectman that's in the committee for the traffic advisory, and he had the chairman, Mr. Aaron, contact me by phone stating that they were taking it under advisement. I then went and addressed the Board of Selectmen and apprised them of the situation that we did not have a left-hand arrow to come safely into our neighborhood. They since have taken it under advisement and had given it to the town manager for his follow-up. I have not received any notification since that meeting on, I believe it was July 22nd or 21st.
August 6th was the selectmen's meeting.
August 6th. And I am still sitting here waiting to find out what's going to take place. I am concerned about safety. Not having a left-hand arrow, there is a problem of safety here. And that's the reason why I'm here. Massachusetts DOT spent approximately $26+ million on 35 and 62, and they caused the greatest number of traffic accidents after the completion of that project than any other project that was done in the state of Massachusetts.
Great.
Okay, so Peter, great job. You know, here's a citizen. He sees an issue. He brings it up, but he detailed it out pretty well. The signaling sequences does not provide adequate access to the neighborhoods, to Hanson Road, and that whole neighborhood over there. It's a unique neighborhood. I know several folks who live up there, and it's all segregated up there by itself. I mean, even Ted Spiliotis, our state representative, lives down on Ardmore Road. It's not in that neighborhood, but he's got to come out and go through that, so he knows there's an issue, because that traffic line coming from Beverly is miles long. So usually when you see a problem, you be proactive. So what the citizens like Peter have to beg to get some relief here? I mean, we're all suffering from this. But the issue was presented to the Board of Selectmen, as you just saw, and under residents' concern. The Board of Selectmen listened and decided to send it to the town manager. So Peter already went to various boards and committees, and he raised his concerns. Now, this was presented as a personal appeal to the Board of Selectmen after receiving no adequate solution from the town boards. So why do issues like this become issues? Because our boards and committees are not responsive to the residents. Is there a second clip here, right here?
There's a second clip. This is in regard to the MassDOT signaling. And this statement that you just presented is basically response from our boards, from our appointed boards and elected boards, have not been responsive to our residents.
Let me ask you a
especially in this
question.
case.
Who owns the lights?
The state.
The state. Then can the town go in and change them?
The town can do a lot of things, but they don't want to disrupt the
That's
communications
not
with MassDOT.
the answer. Can they go in and do it on their own?
I can't answer that directly. I would have to talk to the town manager and his DPW director, because that is an issue that's been going on for years,
Okay.
since
well, see,
the reconstruction.
there's more than one problem here. That's what I'm
Right.
getting at.
Can you run clip number 2, please? And that will...
I have been talking to Mr. Henry, who is the chair of the Traffic Advisory Committee, and to paraphrase him, we have a right to disagree, and the feeling of the committee is that they don't want to disturb Massachusetts DOT and cause any problems, because they want to cooperate with Beverly and PVD and everybody else in the traffic situation here, and they are not going to see a left-hand arrow taking place at Liberty Street. We were hoping that that would take place when they were doing the work on Danvers down there, where they had the problem with the breakdown of the culvert, and the state was going to do something with it. We were hoping they could put it in as far as a light. I talked with Mr. Henry at great lengths about a number of things. One of the points that I pointed out was there's no coordination on lights. There's no way of them doing anything with regards to alleviating it with lights. It's going to take a real big effort to correct that situation that we have at 62 and 35. If you're trying to get through there, I'd say from roughly 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 o'clock at night on either one, you're going to find out that you can't do that in the afternoon, and it's even worse in the morning. I really feel as though we're being shortchanged in that area we're being discriminated against. And I want to see something done, and I want to see the board do something, and maybe you should contact Lovely, Senator Lovely, and Representative Spiliotis, and have them get after Mass DOT to do something about taking care of that light in that situation, because believe me, if somebody gets killed there, I'm going to really raise the devil, because I don't want to see that happen. There's too many accidents, there's too many responses, and it's happening 24 hours a day, so.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Peter. That was a great job. You really nailed it. You know, he really, put it right out there. And actually, I avoid that because I live over at the Route 35 128 three-ring circus. Okay, it's the same thing, only different. But when I go there through the 62 128 area, it's very confusing, and I live here. And so I was going to Beverly. I came from Danvers Square, and I went through, and I was in the straight lane, and then there was one person beside me in the straight left lane, and he just kept, they just run you off the road because it goes from 2 to 1, and just as Peter said, that's if you can't take a left there because the light just doesn't work for us. So these intersections produce gridlock, and the intersections, they produce in accidents. The sight lines for the new traffic signals are inadequate and missing and mistimed. Access to residential areas off Liberty Street are locked out of their residences by traffic signals. The town needs to consider the residents, and adequately serve the residents who actually pay all these taxes. The solution of this issue should be addressed immediately and should not need to be brought up at the Board of Selectmen. We have committees, departments, and boards that should be able to deal with issues like this. I mean, yes, the DOT owns them, but they're in our town, and so our town needs to, take the citizens' concerns and get up to the DOT. You want us to go up there? Okay, so the solution be addressed immediately. It should not need to be brought up to the boards.
Well, let me throw this in.
Okay.
It's all right to say, yes, the town has got to do this, this, and this, but they're just playing the game. Basically, they're saying it's the state. Well, get Teddy to do something and get him to move on it.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't hurt to talk to him.
John, the departments and the committees that are in place where residents should be able to resolve these concerns are the DPW and the police level, which is the traffic advisory and all that. We do not have to present such issues to the micromanagement of the Board of Selectmen. These issues should be covered under the departments that are dealing with traffic
But
signals.
this is the first time that this has got more or less all over town.
We're
broadcasting it.
This is the first time that people are made aware of that this appeal was made at the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
But the selectmen, all the selectmen are going to do, have only one option. They will send this issue to the town manager. This is where the buck needs to stop. The town manager should have handled this through his departments that are out there. Police, DPW, electrical department, they should have handled this.
Well, okay, but
through
that's
the
enough
committees.
about what hasn't been done.
Right.
What can be done and what should be done now. Starting now, the town manager should. What?
Okay, well, let's go to the clip.
Right,
We'll go to the clip. Clip number 3 is going to show us their response to Peter's statements. So if we got clip 3, go.
I think staff agrees with almost 95% of what you just said. I just want to comment quickly on the assertion that playing nice with the DOT or being concerned about Beverly factors into decisions that get made at DTAC. We have the Danvers Police Department, we have traffic consulting engineers looking at data, looking at intersections and layouts. It's true that we do have to work with the DOT on changes that involve state roads, but it's not placating the DOT is not a determining factor in these things. I think that sort of the timeliness of the response you got is an issue, but in terms of how that intersection is approached, it's not as simple as saying we want to make a change on the fly to solve a problem without knowing what the impact is. So everything you just said is accurate, but I just want to be clear that the playing nicely with the DOT is not a concern of the towns in terms of addressing traffic-related issues on state roads.
I don't want to say be patient. We can't do it tomorrow, but we're all aware of your complaint, and there needs to be a resolution of some type to help the people in your neighborhood and have a safe environment out there. So thank you for coming. Thank you for voicing your concerns. And the Traffic Advisory Committee will continue to work on this in the near future.
Okay, and so that was the response from the town manager and the Board of Selectmen. And again, you know, the town has experienced traffic problems for over 30 years. You know, traffic has been identified as the #1 issue on the town survey that we, I don't know how much we paid for it, but now we know what the town is really concerned about. They're concerned about traffic, and we've got it. And, you know, we spend money on a survey and then do nothing. You know, the current and ongoing zoning changes and planning efforts to build more housing units has totally ignored the traffic and parking issues. I mean, in fact, I mean, some of the zoning, smart zoning changes we made is condensing, where you could put a 2-family, I think you can put an 8-family. They quadrupled
Right.
so the footprint, because they're not taking into account the parking and the traffic. Let's just have it all right in there, kind of like the cities. They tell you it's tweaked for Danvers, but it's one size fits all. That DOT traffic simulation on what we got going, that's one size fits all traffic, and then this is one size fits all zoning. They have meetings and we talk about it, but it's the same basic plan.
Nobody ever does anything about it. Let's play clip number 4, which will sort of identify to all of us the traffic, the pattern, the no lights, everybody blowing their horns. Let's clip number 4 is going to be the final one on this issue, but Peter has an issue, and his problem has been that nobody has even talked to him since August 6th, which was brought up to the Board of Selectmen. And they have not addressed this issue at all, not even advised him that they heard him. So the Board of Selectmen is the wrong place to go. It's the town manager and his DPW. Please play number 4. The question is, how long has this issue been evident to the neighbors, and how long has the town been trying to resolve it? Since the renovation of Route 62 and 128.
Actually, the town has been apprised of it from the time that they planned the intersections at 35 and 62 for construction. And they were informed that, yeah, there were families living up here. They were promised that we would have access via all of the roads coming up to the intersections on both sides. Since then, we found out Bay State Road is now under consideration of being closed down. And I have been talking to the town since the original construction dates took place. We were assured that when they had the culvert collapse in the Danvers port, that something would be done with regard to the lights when they were working on Liberty Street, and nothing took place at that point. But since then, I then spoke to the Board of Selectmen again at that time, individual members, and they said bring it before the committee, and I was trying to find out which committee to take it to. So this has been ongoing for years, and my problem is safety. I know somebody's going to be killed at that intersection, and I don't want it to be my family members or anybody in the neighborhood, because the town is fully aware of this. They've been aware of it since the very beginning, and nobody seems to be concerned or upset about anything taking place.
And you can see that there's that's Lower Liberty Street going up to Hanson Road. And there is no signal there, and all you see is traffic going from and to Beverly and from and to Middleton.
Yeah, I mean, this is right here. This is where you go into Beverly, and it's 2 lanes, then it turns into 1. And you only have, 50, 60 feet.
Right.
That's about it. I mean, so it is kind of dangerous, but I think Peter has raised the issue, and anybody who's out there, that if you're listening and you live in that neighborhood, get a hold of Peter, make yourself a sign, if you hate this traffic signal, honk. I don't know, get out there and make noise.
That would be a novel idea, John.
Well, I want to throw in something that's entirely
Off
out
the
of
record.
what the conversation has been. If we look at it from the overall view, the problem is traffic.
Absolutely.
No matter what the town does, it's not going to solve the traffic problem. The state has to come in. Basically, what they're talking about now is creating buses that will reduce the amount of cars that are being used. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of planning. And if it ever gets there, but at least it is starting to work. They have started to issue more different routes. There's one in Beverly coming into Danvers, Cherry Hill, and so forth. So at least something's there.
But you see, one of the things that I am very concerned about is that everything is about the Beverly traffic going through Danvers to Middleton. Nobody seems to consider the residents of Danvers who are affected
Well,
by this traffic.
one of the reasons they don't take into effect Danvers residents is because Danvers residents sit on their rear end and they don't do anything.
Well, we're
Unless
trying
you-
to do something.
Unless you get out and you yak and yell and scream, nobody's going to pay attention to your problems. Get out there. Contact your selectmen. Contact your town meeting members. Contact your state reps. How do you find out? Well, go to town hall first of all. They can give you all the information you're looking for.
If you can find them.
What do you mean? Town hall, the people in town hall are very good. They can give you information, they can answer your questions, and if they don't have direct answers, they can tell you where to go to get them. I'm very impressed with town hall.
Okay, you know what? I think we should give Peter, we should initiate a Topics of the Town trophy. He gets the Citizens Award.
He should. And
Yep.
and you know what impressed me the most is at that August 6th Selectmen's meeting, I'll have to give credit to Mr. Bennett for allowing this to be presented in its total content.
Yep.
Dan has been very receptive to these things, but the thing is that the Board of Selectmen can't do anything without the town manager imposing his rules.
Right.
So the Board of Selectmen can politically push it along, but this has been festering for years. This is not new.
Yeah.
And those poor neighbors, and they're on both sides. On the other side, going towards Middleton, I am affected in my neighborhood because of the traffic and the patterns that are imposed on us.
Yeah, but you speak up. Your neighbors don't.
Well, I have always
Well, yeah,
spoken up, John. I mean, I'm not bashful.
But as long as there's only one you, your neighbors got to get out there and get to the selectmen, the town meeting members.
All right, so we'll be continuing monitoring this particular issue with Peter Kushneruk, and we'll contact him for the next couple of shows and see if there's anything new that has happened. To date, nothing has happened, so that's why we're presenting this. The next show, news story, is John's, and it's in regard to the Danvers pear tree. So we can run clip number 5.
This isn't 5.
Uh-oh.
Well,
Well, that's all right.
okay.
Go ahead, run it. So this is clip number 6.
Do you realize that a church is coming to the Liberty Tree Mall? Supposedly in the next few months, there's going to be a church there. Let me give you some information on it. It's going to be right across from the theater, the AMC Theater, right on the main aisle. And this is basically something to give you an idea what it's going to look like. It's going to be a very large area. It's going to be a 400-seat worship space, and it's going to be a coffee shop and a child playroom. This is the aisle, the main aisle where it's going to be. There's the theater.
So this is the new addition to the Liberty Tree Mall,
Yes,
in addition to the theaters that they have just improved.
yes. It's going to be sort of, the idea was here is a spot that people can get to. It's attractive, and it will increase, obviously, the
Attendance.
participation. The church now has about 600 members, and they've been looking for a permanent home where they can attract people to service. It's called the Netcast Church. It's a Christian church, and they started 9 years ago. And this Matt Chewing's home, if you can imagine the
Well, that's usually where it starts. all
well,
the time.
it's amazing how quickly and how large they have grown in the past few years.
John, netcast leads me to believe that it's more network oriented. It's something that's televised and sent out to individuals at home. Or did they participate at the facility?
I don't know. I've tried to communicate with them, and I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody.
Well, I
The-
do have the netcast. I mean, that's almost a Christian term. I mean, I'm not going to be fishers. We're going to be
okay.
fishers of men. We're going to cast our net. And I actually went to a wedding like 3 weeks ago, and the pastor of this netcast church was the one who officiated the sermon, officiated the wedding
Ceremony,
ceremony.
yeah.
So after I just went out there and said, hey, that was a great ceremony. I liked it, very good. And because it was, it was kind of interesting. But they're based in Beverly now. But go ahead, John.
Yes, well, the last thing I just want to bring up is that it will include sound and video technology on the church, at the church, which will be live streamed to a
Yeah.
TV that can be viewed by the people passing by in the hallway.
Oh, wow.
It's,
And this is only on Sundays?
well, they're going to have 3 services.
Okay.
And again, I didn't get any, I haven't been able to get any information. It's obviously going to be a Sunday, and when the other services are, I don't know.
Oh, I like that because I mean, they play CNN at all the airports and every place, right? So you can just keep looping the church service. Yeah.
Well, no,
I like that.
that's a great addition. I mean, and parking shouldn't be a problem
Well,
down there because
that's one thing about the Liberty Tree Mall. There is parking there, and it's available. It's open, God, how many hours a day? 7 days a week, holidays and everything else. So that's it, Pick.
All right, John, that's your church story, and I have an item here that I like to bring up. I'd like to continue on my mission to identify the reasons for the water and sewer rate increases that have just transpired this past summer. As you know, we have increased our water rates by 15%, the highest level in history that I've seen. And the sewer rates went up slightly, but that was to offset the 18 increase that they wanted for water. So they just decline that number. We, as a town and the water department, have been very successful implementing the water conservations that we have instituted in our town. However, there are no measures taken to address the reductions of the usage.
Have we actually reduced the
Absolutely.
the amount of
I mean,
water?
we used to use up 5 million gallons, and now we're down to 3 million gallons.
That's
I mean,
quite a...
it's quite a significant number. And in addition, they have also extended the network into Middleton because they're supplying water into Middleton. The plant does not process the higher volume of water, therefore reductions in operation should have been made. And that's what I've been preaching at the water and sewer meetings, but nobody seems to want to listen. Water and Sewer Department increased water rates and were authorized with an increase of about 15% this year, while restrictions continued this summer. Our restrictions have not changed. Water and Sewer Commissioners were requested to raise the rate with all the heavy guns from the town hall. Town manager and the finance director came in because the DPW director, who's running the water department, was looking for reinforcements to allow this rate to go up. So the town manager made sure that the rates went up. I spoke against it. It didn't do any good. We have the highest water rates on the North Shore right now. Water and Sewer Company is under the auspices of the Department of Public Utilities, and we may have to petition the department for the customers of Danvers to review and address this rate increase because it is unbelievable. However, there is no lack of water. The water use is, Danvers prepares to fight water restrictions from Mass Department of Environmental Protection. Town SAS grant-funded study proves that the town is already not using Ipswich River to full capacity. Water supposedly everywhere, and yet not a drop to spare. This was a quote that I got from the newspaper article that was from Wicked Local.
Okay, but wait a minute. Okay, so we got plenty of water and we got restrictions.
Right.
And then we have smart zoning. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're increasing footprints and what we want to build. So one would think that incorporated into the smart zoning would be some kind of metric where, you got so many square feet, you got so many utilities, you got so much water usage. So what is the ideal density for Danvers?
Well, that's what's been debated for a couple of years now, and all they want to do is compress as many units into the limited space that's available to increase the housing stock. So
Well,
what are
what's
we
the
doing?
basic reason they want to increase the housing stock?
Tax revenue. What else?
Yay!
So there is no lack of water, but the rates are still going up.
They're making money.
No, the problem is that the water is processed and is only processing 3 million gallons versus 5 million gallons, but the costs are still the same. So somebody has to look at the financial viability of this water treatment plant. That water treatment plant just went through a $20 million expansion of a filtration unit that's adjacent to the water treatment, and we spent some time over there, John. But I don't think it's being used. So now what's being done is the water rates are increasing to cover the costs of what has been spent, and probably unwisely. But that's the way it is. What are we doing wrong as a town? Town management, basically. So we need to consider this. Well, we're going to continue this discussion because this is not going to go away. And there is a Water and Sewer Commissioners meeting coming up in September. Municipal Light Board is coming up in September 17th. So I'll be going to that one with my camera as well. So we'll see how that goes. John, we have another clip, which is, can you run the next clip, please? There's the
Okay,
pear
there
tree.
we are. If you can believe it, that pear tree is, according to the information we've been getting, 400 years old. It was originally planted by John Endicott, as you can see. 1632. He came over here as the first governor of Massachusetts. And obviously, one of the benefits he got, they gave him a grant of 300 acres of land. Where? In Danvers Port. This is on Endicott Street. If you go down there and you find it's between the Brightview Senior Living on one area and the Patton Healthcare on the other.
That's way in the back, right?
Way in the back.
Yep.
You go into the parking lot, you go out back, you can look over and see the river, and if you look up, you see there's power lines coming up, and then all of a sudden they end. And right where they end is where this pear tree is. And if you were able to see them, it actually has pears on them at the moment, and they're coming down sometime this month to harvest them.
Oh, I heard that the newspapers reported that the harvest is going to be distributed to the town hall and the library. So, but that's fine. Those pears look, very nice, and I'm glad that they have put up that fence. And I wonder who actually put up that fence, because
Well,
that's protecting it.
Over the years, Danvers Healthcare, the Essex National Heritage Commission, the descendants of Endicott, the Danvers Historical Society, and the town of Danvers have all worked over the years,
Great.
more or less, to keep this going. And obviously, it's been there for 400 years, so somebody's been successful.
Do we have a birthday party for it?
Historic preservation, that's what it's called. But I was told, and I'm not sure what the story is behind it, but is this the extent of the Endicott estate, all the way up to Endicott Street?
Well, it's what used to be the Endicott estate.
Because you told me that it was like 300 acres.
They were, when he came over,
Right.
he was granted 300 acres, and that's where he located it. He had that whole, basically, down the Water Street over to
Right.
128. I mean, 300 acres,
Wow.
right where, matter of fact, just about where the parking lot is now, the big, and it's where they tore down that, what used to be a Sylvania building? Well, anyway.
Yes, Sylvania, right.
They tore down the building. That used to be where the mansion was, the Endicott Mansion.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
right on the river, overlooking the river.
It overlooks the river, yes.
But you got to remember, in the 1600s, there was no bridge on Water Street. You couldn't get from here to there.
All right, let's move on. This is great discussion because it's historical, and it gives us a perspective of what Danvers was
Well, it's
like
very
in the
nice to
past.
go and see.
Absolutely, and his public access is permitted.
You can just drive right into the parking lot. You certainly don't have to worry about parking out there.
Well, there you go. So the next story that I like to bring our audience up to date is the Danvers Electric Company, or Municipal Light Company. The Department of Public Utilities is investigating the Danvers Electric Department's spending and preservation of the company for the ratepayers, you and me. electric department rate status. The DPU could not find a rate calculation submitted for Danvers since 2009. About 2 months ago, they finally,
Excuse me, are they required to?
annually, nobody's watching the shop. That's the problem. And finally, when I attended the meeting, and you can look at the film for that meeting, is that the Municipal Light Board finally submitted a rate calculation that was for 2009, but the only thing that they forgot is what was left over was spent on issues such as intersection rebuilding, retirement funding of $5 million, intersections for $5 million, $3.5 million interest-free loan to the water department, and the maintenance and operation of the rail trail. So all that money, probably over $20 million, was ignored because the rate was never submitted.
And you, as residents using electricity, are paying the rates.
The ratepayers are finally being represented, at least in this investigation, because as the town manager has beat up on me, is I submitted a petition with 39 signatures, and a response from the town municipal board is lacking facts and details. I read the response to the petition, and the town manager attacked the petitioners and my attempts to bring this matter to the DPU. He felt it was frivolous. Being frivolous is not being very management-wise, because the department, the electric department, has been spending ratepayers' money, which you and I pay in our electric bills every single month. And the thing is that we don't know what that money is being spent on. Maybe we do know because they show it in the budget, but the management should not be spending that money because of the Chapter 164 that is governing the operation and facilities management of the electric company. So this story will go on. I am very disappointed in the response from the town manager and his deputies from the DPW, because the response was frivolous to the question that was asked from the DPU.
Okay, well, let's just go back to what you said here. You said that the DPU could not find rate calculations submitted from Danvers since 2009.
Right.
So that's part of the report. Right? Is that part of the report?
They did that. No, that's not, because they submitted the 2009 rates back in July or August. July, I think.
Of 2019?
2019, yeah.
So they're 10 years
10 years
late.
late, right.
Okay, so I mean that's what I'm trying to get at. Has any of this been reported into the Salem News? That
Salem News and the Danvers Herald, the old Danvers Herald, and the Wicked Local have not touched this story at all. I have sent a petition in, and at the same time I've sent a letter to the editor back in 2018, because I have been dealing with this issue for the last 4 years, and nobody seems to listen.
Does the state require that they report these every year?
Yes.
And they haven't been doing it, and the
Well,
state hasn't done anything.
What their explanation at the meeting was that the DPU could not find a copy of their submittals. So now they will give them the 2009 submittal, which really was, the submittals were vacant from 2009 to 2019.
And the state accepts it.
Well, the state is sitting there waiting for something. I don't know. You know, the state agencies, like the RMV, have boxes full of stuff in the back room.
Yeah, see, I mean, they had a new show on TV. They were called Whistleblowers, and they showed people that find that things going wrong, and then they blow the whistle, and that's exactly what happens. You know, you get attacked. The whistleblowers become demonized by management and people at the corporations and whatever, and it's just, you know, they have laws to protect the whistleblowers, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's very difficult to uncover these issues that perpetuate.
It's not difficult to uncover them, but it's difficult to defend yourself from being attacked by the establishment.
The deep state.
The deep state in Danvers. Is there such a thing?
The swamp has spread from.
Oh, we have the swamp down by the auto dealerships.
There you go. There you go.
The one thing that I want to add, and this will continue because I know that there's supposedly there's going to be a hearing on the Danvers Electric Municipal Light Board funding and spending. But I will continue this. This has not discouraged me at all because this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And I have dealt with this issue even as far back as when I was on the board back in 1996 or 95 through 2000. At that time, Wayne Marquis, with his, you know, he had his own style of management. He proposed at that time the cost of the signals for an intersection. I don't remember when it was or where it was. But the thing is that it was like $70,000 or $80,000. And I questioned him at that time as a selectman. And he said, don't worry about it. This is just collecting additional tax from more people than the landowners or building owners. So at that time, $70,000, I let it slide by. But it's been building. Now we're talking about $20 million in 3 years, 4 years. And the thing is that they've continued the spending without any restriction. Nobody in the public knows about what's going on. So I will take the heat for presenting this to the DPU. It is not frivolous, and I will continue my passion to get to the bottom of it.
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting that, you know, cities and towns have to balance their budget every year, and they have to have all their debts and everything covered. They can carry a little debt, but like the state of Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, whatever their budget is, I think the debt is a little bit more than half of what it is.
$43 billion is the budget for the state of Massachusetts.
Is that right?
And you're right. It could be as high as $20 or $30 billion.
Yeah.
Because I remember when the budget for the state of Massachusetts back in '95 was something like $4 or $5 billion. And look what's happened in 20 years.
Exactly. And, then the feds are into almost 25 trillion in debt. And so
they have no control over their budget.
And we have a glut of money here.
Well, we have a glut of money because we have found
we can find our overtaxing sweet spot.
Every treasure chest that we used to call the Wayne's, piggy bank. And it was coming from the electric company.
Every stream of income that we have, they control.
Right.
And what used to be the big thing, you always put all your questions on taxes.
Right.
And basically what they have done is they have started to take funds from non-tax income.
Absolutely.
The rates for the electricity, the water, the sewer, and they're taking in more money than they're spending, so they're putting, basically, they're putting millions of dollars in the bank. And they
Well,
can
And
use
they
that
cover
and
it.
spend it.
Yeah, that's right. They cover it like they used to be called revolving accounts. What do they call? How many different terms do they have?
Oh, they have a new term for the municipal light board and the water and sewer.
Yeah.
It's financial. The only other thing is that this will continue, and I am not giving up on this. This is something that I will report on next show. John has one more story that he wants to talk about, and it's clip number 7. And if we can run that,
Yeah, this is a quickie. Good news, the library is open. Here's some of the crews working to straighten out the problems they had. The sprinkler system apparently took off and created a mess. So they had to close it and bring in crews and straighten it up and clean it up. Apparently there wasn't too much damage, but they had to check everything to make sure it was all right. They had to clean everything and get it to reopen.
now there has not been much reporting on what actually happened.
They still haven't said much.
They haven't said much, and they won't say much because the newspapers are not interested in Danvers, what's going on in here.
Well,
So maybe this will mobilize some news reporting, but what we'll do is we'll go and talk to Alex and see if we can get some more information when the time comes.
Well, the best news is it's open.
Good.
We're back in business. There they are cleaning up some of the things.
But it was closed for what, 1 week, 2 weeks?
Offhand, I don't know.
Yeah, they won't.
Well, it was only 1 week, wasn't it?
1 week, I think, yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad. I didn't like it. Matter of fact, the day it happened, I happened to want to go in, and I was rather surprised to find it closed. And here it is inside now, where it's open, as you can see. There's no damage. There's no traces of anything.
Great. Well, we'll visit the library again because we did a documentary on it, and maybe it'll be time to go in and take a look. All right, now, Mr. Morose, you have an opportunity that you asked for to bring your questions and final comments regarding the goings-on in Danvers.
Okay, yeah, I got a PSA, public service announcement. You know, I am the recording secretary for the Danvers Republican Town Committee, DTRTC. But at any rate, you know, they select the delegates and they select members for the town, for the committee during the primary season. So I just found out that the deadline to have our ballot ready to get on to I think the presidential primary ballot is in either March or April. But we have to have our papers in by November 8th. So if you're a registered Republican, you have to have been a registered Republican as of August 21st, 2019. That was the cutoff. And you can, if you want to join, be a member of the Danvers Town Republican Committee, give us a call. We're in the book. And we're gonna have a meeting, so watch the papers. And you know, again, this is like you know, Mark and John did a whole Topics of the Town show on public you know, groups in town, and the Republican Committee is one of them. And so I just like to make that offer to anyone. And you know, I mean, if there's any you know, Republicans that are 18 years old that are registered and you're still going to Danvers High School, if you want, you know, any members of the Republican committee to come in and give a little talk to your civics group history class, we'll come.
They're invited.
Thank you.
All right. Jim, that was your PSA, public service announcement, and we appreciate that. But as you know, I myself have been so neutral, it's unbelievable. never, never joined one side or the other. I'm on the unenrolled list.
See, I'm just the opposite. I started off Democratic, I went to Republican, and now I'm independent.
Independent. Well, there's no such thing as independent.
Well,
It's unenrolled.
unenrolled.
That's where we are, John. That's, and it's probably the smartest and safest place to be. But yeah, everybody has their leanings.
Yeah, but they don't participate.
That's right.
What, 1/4 of the people actually vote?
Oh, less than that in this town.
Well,
The last time we had 5.4%, I think, for the town elections, and it's sad.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're unenrolled and in any of the other parties, and you want, you see us have our meetings published, you can, they're open to the public. You can come and let us know where we're going wrong. I mean, you don't have to be a Republican to help a Republican run for office. I mean, that's what the town committees are for. The Democratic committee, the Republican committee, just regular folks like us. And when people are running for office, we help them. We hold signs, we make phone calls, we do the legwork. That's what the committees are supposed to be doing.
Great.
And we also get an option. I've been to a couple of state conventions. I've never been to the national convention, but it's a lot of fun. Meet a lot of interesting people.
Well, it's being interested in what's going on, and you devote your time to do that.
yes.
John, you have any final questions or final comments?
No, it's just it's the usual one. Get out and vote. Get out and get involved. Otherwise, you're paying and you're not getting anything.
That's right. The only thing that I have is next show will be September 19th. I almost went into 20. It's 19. I am committed to identifying the issues that Danvers faces, that the Board of Selectmen face, and sometimes they either face it or ignore it, walk away from it. We have an issue coming up in regards to planning and zoning that's going to affect our town dramatically, because I have not seen any results of the previous lower end of Maple Street. But I am wondering how the development is going on with that planning and zoning change. The only thing that I know is that the town, in their greed, got $200,000 from the state for the 40R zoning that they have agreed to. I voted against it at town meeting, but the rest of the town wanted to adopt it. But the thing is that if we continue adopting this kind of zoning, we have not seen the results of what the previous one has produced. So what I am asking is the town planning department should give us an indication of what kind of structures and densities that are going to be built in the lower Maple Street area towards
Well, it's obvious
62.
that where we're headed is Danvers is going to become a city if we continue to do this.
Well, we're going to look like a city. We'll still be a town.
No,
We need to become a city, and that's absolutely correct. We've been talking about that for 20 years.
I would rather see us stay a town. I'm with you, Jim. But I think we're being forced into this by what the selectmen are doing.
Right. Well, good night, Danvers. Thank you for watching.